What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA, and here we go once again with a box office breakdown. You know this as the scoreboard for the film industry. This is where we take a look at who's hot, who's not, the winners and the losers, and there's plenty of winners and losers this week. We also take a look at the week that just passed along with the week that is to come. And yeah, we're talking about Minions. Minions absolutely came in, taking no prisoners, wiped through the entire box office in this weekend, bringing in 108 million domestically and teetering on cracking the biggest Independence Day weekend of all time. So this is huge for the Minions. And yeah, it's crazy when you sit back and think about it, because you know, you didn't really know what to expect, you know, kind of like the animated film that just came before this, which was Lightyear. You really didn't know what to expect. Was Lightyear kind of an indication that people are kind of tepid? You know, that's what they were saying, but the proof of the pudding is in the eating. And when you check out numbers like this, you're just sitting there like, hey, you know, the folks down at Illumination, the folks down at Universal, hats off to you. You knew what you were doing. You knew how to get these audiences back into the theaters to see your film. Give the people what they want. That's what it's all about. But let's go ahead and check out the analysis from Box Office Pro, where all the movie fans go. Weekend box office: Minions: The Rise of Gru earns Best Animated Opening of the Pandemic Era. Yeah, and it did numbers, man. Yellow equals green. Universal Illumination's animated sequel, Minions: The Rise of Gru, proved that kids and families, very important, and families, just never tire of those gibberish-speaking yellow creatures. The fifth in the Despicable Me franchise debuted with a projected $108 million over the three-day opening, 195.7 globally. And that's funny because I saw it somewhere else in the same article that it did 202. So we'll check that out. Domestically, that's bigger than Despicable Me 3, Despicable Me 2. It's also bigger than, of course, Sonic the Hedgehog. It's 2.1 times bigger than Lightyear. So these are just little percentage points, but they doubled up Lightyear, and we're going to get to it. They surpassed Lightyear in one weekend. That's crazy. So yeah, and it's also below these other films here. The big news is that it is going to end up becoming the biggest Independence Day opener of all time. Check this out. Yeah, so this is from Variety. Box office: Minions: The Rise of Gru shatters 4th of July holiday records with a $127 million debut. And it says it right here. It's based on estimates, so we still got to wait for the final tally to come in. But it says it rolled in 108 million over the weekend. And then by the time July 4th rolls around on Monday, the animated film is expected to reach a sizable 127.9 million. Based on those estimates, Minions: The Rise of Gru will smash the record for highest film opening over the Independence Day weekend, beating Transformers: Dark of the Moon, who did 115 million over its 4 days. So that's winning, right? We talk about winners and losers here, and that's winning. Minions are winning right now for Universal. Universal also is getting wins, of course, with Jurassic World Dominion crossing the $800 million threshold. And yeah, it's dominating. It looks like it's on its way to $1 billion. So you start looking at those two films from Universal and you're saying like, yeah, what's going on over there at Disney? And, you know, basically what it is, and it kind of touches on that right here in the opening article, right? It talks about the fifth in the Despicable Me franchise, right? And yeah, there was another film that was also fifth in its franchise. The fifth film in the franchise that understood its audience outdid the fifth film in the franchise that didn't quite seem to understand what its audiences were looking for. It's about customer service, folks. Box office is about customer service. Can you deliver the goods when the time comes? Do you understand your audience? And before you put your $200 million into some kind of a big, huge flopperoo, are you going to make sure that you understand what people are looking for, or are you just going to burn up a whole lot of money? So yeah, that's what's going on right now. And listen, the fans agree with me, okay? Because I'm going to show you this right here. Look at this. This is Lightyear. It's talking about the audience score and the critic score. Now, we always say, hey man, the critics are the critics. The audiences are the paying customers. Those are the people you need to be trying to reach out to. Forget what these critics are saying. I don't care if that was 0 on the tomato meter. What is the audience saying? And that's what's really important. The audience says, hey, 85%. Okay, you might think that's pretty good. But I've always told you guys, and you guys are going to start listening to me. If it drops below 90%, question what's going on with this film, because generally speaking, audiences will give it a positive score, and under 90%, start questioning. Just that's all I'm saying. Just start questioning it. But there's no questions here because the audiences are loving Minions. It's at 91%, and it's probably going to keep going up. Actually, tomato meter's been going up too, because I think it was at 67 when I did the predictions, and now it's at 72. So yeah, just again, paying customers, okay? Really, I don't really care what the tomato meter says. It's really about the audience score. Is the audience enjoying your film? Because if they're not, guess what? You're gonna be looking like Lightyear, light in the pockets, because you didn't do what the audience expected you to do. Congratulations to Illumination. Congratulations, because they blew this thing out. This is getting more and more embarrassing for Lightyear, and I'm gonna get into that as well. Top Gun Maverick is still crushing the hell out of the box office, right? It's already at 1.1 billion worldwide. And check this out. It is now earned, and it talks about, you know, the number 4 opening weekend of all time. Okay. Then it has the number 8 second weekend of all time, the number 10 third weekend of all time. But here's the point. Here's the big thing. Number 3 fourth weekend, number 4 fifth weekend, number 4 sixth weekend. This movie is in the top 5 of weekends 4 through 6. And why is that important? Because generally speaking, in the first 3 weekends, you know, everybody that wants to see the movie has kind of already seen it. So you're like, yeah, that's it, I'm done. You know, this movie is getting a ton of repeat viewers. It's getting amazing word of mouth. People are coming back again and again and again. And that's why you have numbers like this. Because you remember, Titanic, if you remember back in the day, if you were alive back then, Titanic was getting incredible word of mouth. And that thing lasted in theaters forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. It's like, damn, this thing ain't never leaving theaters because of the word of mouth that it was getting. And so you can see the Titanic was one of those types of film, had the number 4 fifth weekend of all time, and it just kept on plugging away. So you got the top 5 of all time in weekends 4 through 6 for Top Gun. Hey, hats off to those guys. Once again, they did the job, and that's why Top Gun Maverick, in my opinion, is the biggest success story of 2022. Highest grossing film so far in 2022, and you know, it surpassed all the movies that it came behind. So it surpassed Doctor Strange, the Batman, and Jurassic World. It opened behind those, and now it's sprinted right on past them, taking the top spot overall. Now we're talking about Elvis. Elvis came in third this weekend. It had a pretty good opening, I think, for itself, what I expected anyway. $31.2 million. But then in its second week, a relatively decent 39% drop. It did 19 million this week. Pretty good. And if you look at other music biopics, it says, you notice that, yeah, it came in right around the same as the Bohemian Rhapsody, Rocket Man, and Respect. It's doing, you know, better than those films. So yeah, you got to give it credit for that. I think Elvis is going to do fine. I think it's going to get close to making its money back. Remember, we'll check the numbers in a minute, but it's going to get close to making its money back. But it's really going to need to kind of weather the storm because, you know, we got some big movies coming up in the next couple of weeks. Number 4, of course, was Jurassic World. Jurassic World, to me, is another big success story, in my opinion, because it's not getting the reviews that people want it to get. You know, the audience scores and everything are kind of down. And, you know, I just got through talking about the audience scores. You know, the audience score isn't looking that great, Derek. What are you talking about? Well, the thing about it is people are entertained by monsters. You know, that's just the funny thing about monster movies. You know, Jurassic World is just one big giant monster movie full of dinosaurs chasing and eating people, and it delivers on the promise. It doesn't pretend that it's anything other than that. Hey, we're just out here going to show some dinosaurs doing all kind of stuff, wreaking havoc all over the world. That's what we're going to do, and congratulations, it worked. You know, now it says on the weakness of its reception, the title fell a fairly steep 59% in its second frame. Then in its third frame, its 55% drop was again steeper than either of its predecessors. Now, in the fourth frame, the trend reverses for once. It only fell 41% to 15.6 in fourth place, which is actually milder than the fourth weekend declines for Jurassic World at 46% and Fallen Kingdom at 43%. And I think the good news for Universal is it's already made its money back, right? Like, this thing has already crossed all of those thresholds, checked all of those boxes. They're in the black. They're feeling good. But one of the big differences between like Jurassic World and other franchises is it gets that nice, sweet overseas money. And you can see that 492, pretty much $500 million overseas, and now it's sitting at a $824 million global haul. Yes, these are numbers down from the previous films, no question about that, but you know, at the same time, it's making money. It's the last of its kind, you know. So now if you ever want to go see Jurassic World, if you want to see giant dinosaurs in this particular film universe go out there and do their thing, it brings back all the old cast. Hey, I was thoroughly entertained. I enjoyed it. I had a great time with it. But yeah, it does the typical numbers in the markets like China, Mexico, the UK, etc., and so on. So yeah, I think overall the Jurassic World is another big success story. A lot of people didn't expect it to do what it's doing, and it's doing a great job. Finally, you get to the Black Phone. Universal, once again, making money. The Black Phone is now profitable. I'll get to that in the numbers. But you can see basically, and it's getting great reviews. I think people are really enjoying this film. And even though it did drop a decent, you know, little 48% to 12 million, hey, it says that's milder than almost every other horror film. You got Firestarter, Don't Breathe, Candyman, Forever Purge. So yeah, its drop is actually pretty good, and I enjoyed the film. I know my cousins didn't, but I enjoyed the hell out of this. This was a great movie. But that'll do it for the analysis. Let's go ahead and check out the numbers. Let's see what those have to say. All right, and here we go with the top 10 for the weekend. Let's check it out. Minions Rise of Gru, of course, dominating everything at $108 million, followed by Top Gun Maverick at $26 million, Elvis coming in at $19 million, Jurassic World Dominion at $15 million, and then, of course, the Black Phone pulling up the top 5 at $12 million. And now we go to the rest of the top 10. Lightyear, only $6.5 million, and this is important because, remember, I just said that most audiences will go see the films that they want to see, usually the third weekend. Everybody who wants to see it has seen it, and now you see Lightyear dropping off the side of a cliff like Wile E. Coyote, just waiting on that little dust poof to pop up now for this thing. 6.5 million. And with everything that's going on right now with the movies that are coming out next week, including Thor, Love, and Thunder, yeah, I just see this thing getting absolutely cratered over the next couple of weeks. Mr. Malcolm's List, movie I've never heard of, 651K. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, still hanging in there, man, hanging in at that top 10 with $500,000, 551K. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, it's on Disney Plus now. People are still checking it out in theaters for some reason. Nevertheless, 390K. And then another film I've never heard of, but looked actually kind of interesting, Jug Geo. Might actually try to find a way to check that out. All right, and then we go to the top 5 week-over-week drops. So the top 5 films, other than Minions, obviously, and their drops. And you can see pretty mild drops for pretty much everybody, especially considering that Minions came out and a lot of people went to see Minions. You look at these drops. Top Gun Maverick, only 13%. Elvis, 39%. Jurassic World, 41%. Black Phone, 48%. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. Spoke too soon. Lightyear, back-to-back 64% drops, man, because it was 64% last weekend, 64% this weekend. Yeah, this thing is cratering. This is not going to get any prettier. I think Disney is doing some soul searching right now. I know that they're not going to come out there and say it. They're asking some real hard questions right now. Hey, this ain't working. We got to circle the wagons. Our stock prices are dropping. We got to get back to the drawing board and start doing what the Minions and all these other people are doing. Top Gun. We got to start looking at what they're doing and seeing if we can somehow right this ship, because that's way too big of a company, putting way too much money into this to be doing these kind of numbers. So yeah, winners and losers. Yeah, right now Disney is definitely one of those losers. All right, then we get to the top 10 worldwide. Top Gun still there at 1.1 billion. You can see the rest. Doctor Strange at number 2 at 951 million. Jurassic World Dominion 824, again crossing the $800 million mark. I think that's pretty impressive. The Batman at 770 million. Watergate Bridge 626 million. Then you got The Secrets of Dumbledore, actually pulled up a little bit of money, and somewhere somebody in the world went and watched this film, and it actually boosted it up another $4 million. Now it's sitting at 405 million. Sonic 2, remember we saw that was behind Uncharted. Right now just a few bucks ahead of Uncharted, and yeah, it's still in theaters. I think it did like another $100,000 or something like that. So it's still in theaters, still pulling in money. 401 million overall, passing up Uncharted. So I guess now Uncharted is the 5th all-time video game film, and Sonic 2 is number 4. So congratulations to Sonic. And then we get The Bad Guys, and then finally Too Cool to Kill. Too Cool to Kill might be out of the top 10 worldwide by tomorrow. Because if Minions does some incredible numbers, it's going to surpass that 217 million easily. Let's go ahead and get to the make it or break it numbers. And then, yeah, you see $187 million for Lightyear. It had a $200 million budget. This is looking like it's going to be one of the bigger box office bombs this year. If it doesn't start picking things up somewhere. I don't know where they're going to get the money from because it's not releasing in several countries due to that same-sex kiss. The people in America and, United States and North America, they've already seen it. And it's just dropping every week. Everybody's probably going to be checking out the Minions next week. So yeah, I don't know where they're going to get money from. It's going to be tough. Elvis, like I said, it's going to be close. It's going to be close. It's kind of like how Downton Abbey is right there. You see Downton Abbey below. Downton Abbey and Elvis is kind of like in that same kind of feel. It's like, yeah, like I think the first 3 weekends is pretty much going to be the telling tale. With Elvis, if it stays in theaters long enough, I think it's a possibility it could get close to 200 million. But right now, yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough because there's so many big Hollywood blockbusters that's coming out, and the audiences are really going to be flocking to those. But nevertheless, I'm hearing good things about it. I hear it's a really good film, and I'm probably going to end up checking it out eventually. Downton Abbey, it's probably done. It only gained like another $1 million over this past week. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It's probably going to tap out somewhere after it all said and done at around like 92 million, somewhere in that range. And still, they made the movie they wanted to make. It just wasn't going to be profitable based on today's climate and where things are right now. The Black Phone, boom, profitable. We did it. 74 million on a $18 million budget. They only needed 61 million to break even. They got that and then some. So they're in the black. The Black Phone is in the black, and they have to be enjoying that. And then finally down there at the bottom, Minions, The Rise of Gru. I know like some places say 197 million. A couple other places say 202. We're just going to go with 202. Either way, it only needed 213 to break even, right? So it's almost going to accomplish that by tomorrow. I think we're going to go ahead and be able to nicely scratch the Minions, Rise of Gru right off the list. Okay, and then you know what? Lastly, let's just kind of look at this. We haven't taken a look at this in a while. Yeah, so let's take a look at the box office bombs. We haven't looked at that in a while. And yeah, you can see Moonfall. Man, I don't know what made those folks think about that. $44 million on a $140 million budget, and they break even. Yeah, that movie just lost all kinds and kinds of money. 355 was no different, lost a ton of money. Death of the Nile, a little bit under $100 million loss. Same with Secrets of Dumbledore. They're about a $95 million loss. They might still again make some more money, but I don't see how much more they're going to make. They're not going to break even, that's for sure. And then Ambulance losing somewhere in the neighborhood of about $50 million. But I think there's going to be another one that's going to be on this list. This is kind of like my mid-year look. And there's going to be another one that's going to be on the list. I'll probably touch on this again, like maybe towards the end of summer, once we start getting into the fall films and we can start seeing like how where the biggest box office bombs are landing at. But yeah, these are the biggest ones so far. I didn't put Lightyear on here yet because technically it's only on its 3rd weekend, so it's like you don't want to call it too soon. But yeah, I have a feeling that Lightyear is definitely going to be on this list. All right, folks, so let's go ahead. That'll do it for the numbers. Let's go ahead and move forward. Let's see what we're going to be looking at for next week. All right, so here we go. The next week's release schedule, only 2 films, The Road to Galena and, of course, Thor, Love, and Thunder. And you guys know I'll be doing a box office prediction for Thor, Love, and Thunder. Take a look for that coming up on Tuesday. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how these films navigate through this next couple of weeks. Because now, you got another Marvel Cinematic Universe film coming into theaters. What's going to be the ripple effect? How's that going to affect films like Top Gun? How's that going to affect Jurassic World Dominion? How's that going to affect the smaller films? I don't think it's going to touch Minions as much because Minions right now is just like, hey, this is families. Thor kind of has like kind of this, teenage audience and up, kind of feel to it. So I don't think Thor is really going to interfere too much with Minions because there's some risque material in Thor Love and Thunder. You know, you kind of get this hint that there's going to be a lot of stuff that might make some families uncomfortable. So I think families are going to just keep going to Minions. Say, all right, let's go see Minions again. That'll be fun. And I'm sure the kids won't have any problem with that whatsoever. And then down the line, we're going to see other films. There's some wide releases coming up. Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, never heard of that. Where the Crawdads Sing, never heard of that. And then Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank. I think that's the next big animated film that's going to be coming up. It looks like it could be a little bit of fun. I saw the trailer for that with Minions, so it looks like it might be a little bit of fun. We'll see if that's going to be any kind of competition for Minions, but yeah, but it looks like Minions, man, that's the story right now. And you know, saying that it's going to hit $1 billion is probably not anywhere out of the question. It did well more than I thought it would be, and I thought it was going to scrape up close to $1 billion. I said like 945 million. So I think right now $1 billion is, you know, pretty close to being assured, as long as, you know, it can stay in theaters for a decent amount of time. You know, and it's interesting. Scott Mendelson, who normally I completely disagree with. I think the guy is clueless in a lot of things, but he makes a couple of points here that I thought was interesting. So he says here, Pixar's Lightyear earned $6.5 million, down 64%, for a miserable $105.4 million 17-day total. That's less than Minions 2. I might as well call them Millions. That's what they're making. Minions 2, $108.5 million opening weekend. It says here the $200 million flick is basically going to end up somewhere under the $240 million global finish. He argues, of course, that, you know, it's because, well, we sent the more better and interesting Pixar flicks Soul, Luca, and Turning Red to Disney Plus, while saving the comparably cynical IP exploitation cash grab for theaters, only to watch it pull a Star Wars story. You know, and I kind of agree with that. Like, you know, if you was going to go ahead and put this one in theaters, you know, you might as well put them other ones in theaters too, and just said, hey, we'll just go ahead and throw those in theaters and see what it is. But, you know, they were trying to build out Disney Plus. You know, they were trying to build out Disney Plus, which is what he says here. He says, it's depressing to see how the rush to goose Disney Plus subscription has conditioned families to watch Walt Disney tentpoles on Disney Plus. Now, I don't think that that's the case. I think that if you put a good movie in theaters and you say, hey, families, we want you guys to come out and watch these good movies in theaters, I know that there's something to the fact that, yeah, people want to go and see this as cheaply as possible. They don't want to go out and rush out to see a family film if it's going to be on Disney Plus in the next week or two, or if it's in the next month or two. Are we going to commit to, you know, actually putting these things in theaters and keeping them in theaters for a significant run to make sure that we get money from the theaters? Or are we just going to kind of play loosey-goosey with it? Oh, well, maybe in 3 or 4 weeks we'll throw it, or 6 weeks we'll throw it out to our streaming service. Because if you're going to do that, I mean, let's just be honest. Most people are just going to say, okay, I can just wait a month. You know, no big deal. You know, there's other stuff to do. There's other stuff in theaters to watch. I'll just wait a month and I'll see this for free on my little streaming platform, or whatever the case may be. That's what these studios really have to start to consider. And then, like, he finishes it off with this, and I think this is just like the worst take ever. So he says here, we'll see if Walt Disney's animation Strange World can turn the ship around over Thanksgiving weekend. If not, as Minion 2 aims for $1 billion global, it'll be hard not to argue that the commercial struggles with Disney animated films aren't entirely about Disney. 100% about Disney. It's 100% about Disney. Disney's making the films. How can you say that the commercial struggles with Disney animated films aren't entirely about Disney? Well, who else is it entirely about? Disney's the one that's making the product and putting the product out there. They need to understand what is it that their customers are looking to watch. That's the bottom line, Scott. You got to make sure, hey, if my customers are not coming into my doors to buy my product, is it the customers or is it me? No, it's me. Okay, it's me. I'm not putting the product out that the customers want to buy. So I got to change up what I'm doing to make sure that I get the customers coming in the door. But nevertheless, folks, give me your thoughts and your opinions on the box office this week, the amazing rise of Gru and the Minions, and the kind of the downfall of one of Disney's larger and more successful franchises. Go ahead and give me your thoughts and your opinions down below. All right, thanks for watching. See you next time.